Hola, it's me, Mrs. Shooty, and I'm always going to tell you, never stop learning. That's why we watch these shows, because we are going to never stop learning. And today, and this whole week, I'm going to help you feel the change in your English. If you really do what I tell you to do this week, you will feel the change. You will speak better English. This week you'll know, wow, I'm saying words clearer in 1 week. You ready for this? Let's go. Last week we talked about how languages are different, and it's like learning is like eating a whole bunch of different foods like a buffet. Yes. Oh, it was so much fun. And today is no different. We're still going to go on a buffet, but not like this one. We're going to go on a buffet of learning. As many things as we can learn together. And we're going to first repaso, we're going to review, and then we're going to go on and learn new things, more and more learning. Are you ready? As a review, repaso, uh, we're going to be talking about how we're different and how our languages are different. Remember from last week, you have a Romance language, and Romance languages all come from Latin. And if you have a Romance language, all of these words are very relaxed. You keep your mouth very relaxed. You end in O and U, ones that are just relaxed. And I, very different, have a dramatic language. That's right, mine's much more tense. And it comes from German. English does not come from Latin. It comes from German. And it's very, very tense. The sounds are very tense, and how you pronounce the words is very tense. And we're going to be talking much more about that this whole week, and how tensing your mouth will help you to pronounce better. But let's review a little more. I hope this helps. It's Mrs. Shooty Unmasked. And we talked about how yours is a Romance language. Your lips are real loose. Your words slur together more. They're loose. And you say the word you for usted or tú. You say you. We say you. At the end, it does relax, but we smile. Again, it's a dramatic language, so it goes backwards more. It's not loose and romantic. It's the way you hold your jaw. Hope that helped. Now, I know I keep talking about this over and over again, but really learning this part of the lesson will help you so much, not only this week, but for English speakers to understand what you are saying. Now, we looked at A, E, I, O, U. Those are vowels. They are the same 5 vowels in English and in Spanish. In Spanish, they say vocales. It's the same 5 letters. But the bad news is, in Spanish, each one of these letters have one sound. In English, they all have at least two. At least two. Some have more than two, but two major ones for all the vowels. And last week, we talked about the first three vowels, A, E, and I. Let's review those sounds again. A can say ah is an apple. Ah is an apple. That's the short vowel sound. Or A is in stay. A, that's saying its name, stay. And it also can say ah, ah, as in astronaut. It's loosely compared to your ah as an amiga. Kinda. You'll see. We'll talk more about that later again in a different lesson. And then E, I know that next vowel is pronounced E. That's the name of the letter in English. And it says your sound, as in elefante, same sound for the same letter, but we pronounce it E. We say the name of that letter is E. And it can also say E as in eagle. Eagle. It's helpful to remember the clue words. Elephant and eagle. Apple and stay. Those are good to remember, the clue words with the vowels, so they stick in your head. And then the next letter is I. I know you would think that letter is E, but in English that letter is I, like as in ice. That's a very common word. Many of our privileged units get ice, ice, I. And it can also say I, which is not it's I as in igloo. An igloo is a house made of ice. So that's just a repaso. Again, we're just reviewing what we've learned so far. So now those vowels, A, E, I, O, U, we're going to look at the next two vowels. Now, this first one, O, is very similar to yours, but we say it a little bit longer, almost the same sound. Open. See, you would say Fernando, and it's shorter. We kind of hold our O's out. Open. We know what this means. Open. That's the long sound. That's the name of the letter. It says O. It's not short. It's open. And then the short sound of O is ah, ah, as in octopus. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a little bit like amiga. Oh, I know. We'll get to that next week. It's called a whole different sound. So, but as in octopus. And if you could see my mouth, you would know that I'm holding my tongue way back in my mouth when I say ah. It's a very hard, dramatic sound. Octopus. Octopus. So there's the two sounds. O as in open, and is an octopus. And then there's this letter U, and it can say its name, U as in uniform. The officers wear a uniform. The stewardess or the ladies on the airplanes, they wear a uniform. Many people wear uniforms. And that's the long sound. And the short sound of U is as in umbrella. Good word to know. It is not like your cognate. Doesn't sound like your word at all. It's a good vocabulary word. Umbrella. Also, octopus doesn't sound like your word for octopus. So these are good vocabulary words. It's good to learn the word with the vowel so you remember the sound. O can make two sounds. O as in open, and as in octopus. You can say U, the long sound, as in uniform, or is in umbrella. Now there are the 5 vowels. Now in English, right after learning vowels, the next most important letter is the letter R. The letter R. Now in Spanish, you have 2 R's together and they roll. And truthfully, gentlemen, I still cannot roll my R's to save my soul. I can't make that noise because I haven't been saying those letters together since I was a child like you can. But in English, R is very important letter. It only makes one sound. It says but it is very bossy. I believe the word in English for a woman is Madonna. I'm very bossy woman. And R is a very bossy letter. And every time it gets by a vowel, every time you see an R after an A, an R after an E, a I, a O, a U, it says The vowel cannot talk. The vowel can make no sound at all. We only say Now, that's very hard in your mouth. You have to go like a tiger. That's the sound we make for R. We never roll it, and it's always a hard sound like You would say dolor. We say dollar. If you, in your English, every time a word ends in R, you start saying it hard, like tiger, dollar, everyone will understand you better. Here's another example. Better, better. Again, we don't hear that E at all. It doesn't say eh. It says The first E says eh. The short sound of E is an elephant. Better. We don't hear that second E. Here's one where R is in the middle of the word. Remember, the R has to come after the vowel. Doesn't matter which vowel is by. Here it is, bird. I love birds. You love birds? Eagles are a bird. I love to watch birds and frogs. Bird. You don't hear the I or I sound at all. Just hard R. Okay? Remember, it's a dramatic language, so it's not soft and romantic like your language. Here's one. And I hear you say, doctor. You pronounce that O at the end, doctor, but we don't. We say doctor, teacher. All those ones, they end in a And the last one, fur, like on a cat. Are you a cool cat? We're going to talk more about being a cool cat in a little bit, but see, we only say the So if you practice with your mouth saying it hard, it gets easier and easier, and English speakers understand you better. In 1 week, you practice this letter and you practice that every time an R is after a vowel, it says you'll get better at reading. And if you practice saying it, you'll get better at speaking in 1 week. There'll be a huge change in your life. Remember what I said earlier in this program? You're going to hear improvement in 1 week. In 1 week, if you do this one simple thing, you remember that your mouth is relaxed because you speak a Romance language that's loose and relaxed. and we do not. Our sounds are hard. We have hard sounds. And if you just practice saying some sounds which are the same as yours, but we say them harder, then in 1 week you will hear the improvement in your speaking. And this is especially true, verdad, if the sound is at the end of the word. In the palabra, if it's at the end and you say the sound hard, English speakers will understand you better. You will speak more clear in 1 week. You ready, gentlemen? Now, in English, we have a group of letters that we call plosives. Plosives. Do you hear that first sound? Plosives. P is a plosive. It stops and it pops in my mouth. These are a group of letters that stop and pop. Stop and pop. You hear that? And I'm going to have my friend come. Instead of you see me, you're going to see my friend this week. Here's my friend. Her name's Tuna. If you've already been to school with me, you know who Tuna is. She's so beautiful. And you can see inside her mouth how she forms the sounds. Now, every single one of these letters, plosives, are exactly the same in English as in Spanish. The first one's P, B, T, D, K, G. And you almost have the same sound. You just pronounce it relaxed. But we say them much. They're plosives. They explode. We say them harder. Let's have Tuna help.
Plosives. Stop and pop. Airflow. The airflow is stopped and released.
Now, Tuna and I are going to look at each one of these letters individually. Now, here's Tuna to help us with the first two sounds, B and P. B and P.
The P and B sounds.
Thank you, Tuna. That is very good. You can see inside of her mouth, they kind of explode, plode. And I always like to have claves.
The P and B sounds.
She always likes to talk when I tell her not to. Okay, here's my clave. This is a big pig. Hear the big, big pig. Over pronounce it for a little while. Mejor, more, say it stronger till it gets to be normal. Because you say these same sounds, but we say them harder. The big pig. And the next clue I like to remember is pat the bat. Pat the bat. See the little bat? That's a bat. I forgot what that word is in Spanish, but in English, that's a bat. That is not a rat. It has wings and it flies. If you practice these two phrases, the big pig, pat the bat, you'll be surprised how much clearer your English will be in just 1 week. Here's the next one. Here's Tuna again with T and D.
The T and D sounds.
G.
Did you see how, Juna, those two sounds came from the back of her throat? T and D. They actually come from down in your throat, but they still plode in your mouth. And the clave,
The T and D
she just
sounds.
loves to talk, is top dog. Now, the hat that is on that dog, we would call that a top hat. But a top dog is a dicho. The top dog is the person who's the jefe, the boss, the top dog. So that is just a good phrase to practice and say it very hard. Top dog. There's actually 4 plosives in that little phrase. Top dog. It means the jefe. Oh, and here she is. Here is a cool girl, and she is going to help us get the k, g, k, g sounds. Again, these are from German sounds. You have these sounds, but we say them much harder. K, g. Here's Juna to help.
The K and G sounds.
G.
Thank you, Juna. K and g. Now, a C or a K in English and Spanish really can say k. So, cool girl. Cool girl. That's your clave, your clue for those two sounds.
The K.
Mrs. Shooty is not the only one who likes to play. So does Juna. And here is Juna playing with plosives. And if you learn this little phrases that she teaches you and you practice them all week, your English will sound better. Let's try it together with Juna.
Sound play.
Patica, patica, ba, ba, ga. Patica, patica, ba, ba, ga.
Terrific.
Yes, it is terrific. And if you practice making these same letters you have, same sounds you have, but just más thorough, harder, your English will get much better in 1 week. Tuna is funny, but I want you to hear the improvement in your English in 1 week. And how you do that is remembering it is not a romance language. You can't let your mouth be loose like you speak regularly. It must be hard, más duro. All the sounds are crisp. They explode. They're hard. And especially if one of those letters are at the end of a word. Here's some good examples. The first one is think. Many times I hear you say this word tink. The TH is like Hector's girlfriends. You have to stick your tongue out between your teeth and say think. And you really accent that last K, the last sound. Think, think. It's a great word. Practice it all week long, and all of your speaking will get better. Here's another one. Cat, cat. You have to say both the C and the T. Más duro. Cat. Anytime there's a T At the end of a word, you have to pronounce it very hard. T and D, both of those letters at the end, make them hard. Here's a good one. Bed. Bed. A B, B, that explodes. B, bed. Bed. Very good. Bed. Your comma. You know what this is. And, oh, if I can teach you how to say the word you, like ustedes, think like pensar, and this word right here, paper. Again, the P's are very, they explode. Paper. Now, we don't hear this eh sound at all. Remember, R, when it comes after a vowel, it says paper, paper. You just practice these sounds, saying them mastero very hard. At the end of 1 week, all your English will sound better. And you have to never, ever give up. I love birds, I love eagles, and I love ranas. I love frogs. And this frog is not going to give up. I love this picture. Don't ever stop learning. Don't ever give up and say, I can't learn English. It's too hard. Yes, you can. You can learn English, but you have to practice certain sounds. And once you practice these certain sounds, English will get better and your reading will get better. Both. So never ever give up. Okay, you cool cat. Don't ever give up. This is a wonderful little phrase to practice. Okay, you cool cat. Don't ever give up. You see how many times in English we have these hard sounds? And please, my little cool cat, be a tiger. Be a tiger. Say those R's hard. And say those plosives popping and stopping in your mouth. And practice your vowels. And pretty soon, especially this week, you will become a better English speaker. Until next time, bye bye.